Cosmic Con Chapter 8 The Secret Armada Con. While Amy was involved in the Civilian Federation, Matt was engrossed in developing the secret human armada. I felt left out, so I just involved myself in the usually boring intergalactic trade and finance. My cousin Ron and I were all over the place. Ron was really in his elements. Sometimes I would nosy around the military by being with Matt, and I found my calling was to make sure Matt never appeared too serious. I think that Matt found his calling. He never graduated from college because he concentrated on making sure Amy graduates. But also, because he played too many video games with me. Like Amy, Matt simply cheated the system and got busy making money, with my help of course. Half of the time we simply played. In a way he developed an understanding of warfare and strategy. He did read The Art of War by Sun Tzu but saw it more for making money than applied to actual warfare. It was not even applicable in the video games we played. Early on, we told Billy and Roger that we will give the US 100 of the Leo ships right after the Leos delivered them near Earth. We invited Billy, Roger, and Stella in one of the ships that Matt wanted to use as his main work area. We toured them around Matt's ship. Roger, each ship will need at least 1,000 people, so that means you would have to have 100,000 people at the very least, Matt explained. Actually, they only need one, the commander, to fly. I don't think we can have 100,000 people in a month. Maybe 3. Roger said. We will have our scientists study the ships first to have some basic understanding, then we will transfer them together with their findings to the military. Unless of course you have military science people who can study these with the civilian scientists. It will only take at most a month, then we can start the transfer, I said. I know you want to show your appreciation, but you don't have to, Matt said. I would prefer that everything be clandestine. Nobody should know. In fact, even as we develop our military, we should keep our strength closer to our chest and not let any alien know our capabilities. This is very important. Why are you doing this? Stella asked. For humanity. So, we will endure and thrive for millions of years. This is the start of our adventure into the stars, and we need a strong military to survive out there, Matt said with some drama. Besides, we have 700 of these, I said, breaking the drama. We intend to give our allies 300. The others, we will use as teleportation platforms so we can move from planet to planet, Matt said. We always pick up where the other left off. Since we became telepathic and connected to Olive, this became automatic. Like we have a hive mind. Once we organized our space armada, maybe after 3 months, we will give you another 50 ships whose function is to go around the Looney Federation space to explore, gather data and experience. I said. Another 50 ships? I thought the 100 was for that purpose. Roger asked. No. We divided the space around Earth into quadrants. Each quadrant will be up to 100 MLY from Earth. The 50 will travel beyond this. The quadrants would be our training ground and where we will secretly develop weapons and tactics so that we could be the best space armada out there, Matt explained. Guys, you have to understand that we have to concentrate on training and development. This will take years. We do not want to engage anybody. 100 MLY around Earth is a large space. We cannot possibly know everything in it for thousands of years, I added. They agreed on the plans and the concentration on training, tactics, and weapons development. We also agreed to Roger's suggestion that before we assign the ships to the chosen commanders, we should create the organizational structure to enable us to do all the things we talked about. All the boring stuff. I shifted the conversation to money. This time Billy looked pensive and realized that while he can move forces around, Congress may not agree. Especially now when he does not control Congress, although he has 60% of the Senate. I can shift some money for our regular budget and maybe curtail some purchase of aircraft and Navy ships. I can also look into selling some of our air assets, Billy said. Picture this, Smoothie goes in front of Congress and shows the ships. Then he asks them to accept them, the use thereof, provided they budget some amount of new money and allow you to move money in your approved budget in exchange for the ships he will give to you. The ships will still be private and under the name of a colony company. Smoothie leaves out the fact that this colony company will be eventually sold to the US Air Force for $1 when the ships are assigned by Roger. I explained. That will work, if Smoothie tells them that he will be very persuasive, Stella said, her fingers quoting the word persuasive. Of course, Congressman Millard will be a dick and object. But then after a few moments he magically agrees. That will send them all a message, Roger said. Also, Smoothie will remind them that he agreed to let some bad people go. And now he may not do that anymore, Billy said. Spoken like true politicians, I told Matt and he smiled. I like all your Smoothie ideas and it will add stupidity and drama to the occasion. Smoothie's FSD score will go through the roof, Matt added. Taking care of Congress does not mean we have solved our money problems, Stella said. Ron can budget $1 trillion for the first 3 months. I will try to start trade with the loonies and maybe wring some money out of them, I said. How? Billy asked. We will set up a military base on one of the outlying planets and they will see this. We will come out with a military treaty with them. But we ask them money for it, like 20 times the actual, Matt said. He was already ahead of me. First of all, they are very rich compared to Earth. Based on what Ron gathered, if there was trade, our US dollar would be 5%, maybe less, of the value of their DOMA. We have to price our military on how they spend for their security, which I think is exorbitantly high given that they do not provide security at all. This is how they picture or understand the service in their minds. Let's think of it as a practical joke we play on the loonies to bilk them out of, say, $100 trillion equivalent. I said. I think you have something there. Let them fund the training of our military, Stella said. You know, Stella, if you can do this, it will solve a lot of issues for us, Billy said. To help out, as an incentive, maybe we can give them 10 ships which are very advanced compared to their ships in exchange for 50 of their large but cheaper transport ships. They can study the 10 ships and share with us their study, and we will share with them our information per the military treaty you will sell to them. The 10 ships we will get from our TP line and substitute them with 10 from the 50 we will get, Matt said. Consider it done, Billy, Matt, Stella said. Then Billy opened the idea to have his own ship, Roger his command ship and Stella her ambassador ship. Matt of course agreed because he saw the need for these. The coming Monday, Smoothie visited Congress and did his usual thing. Olive helped by providing holos of the ship specs and capabilities. Things Smoothie will never touch on. What he did was to irritate them that after they approved the idea, he lowered the number of ships to 30. Billy told him to do so because he felt Stella may have a high probability of success on the LooneyCon. After a month, Roger and Billy have finished the allocation of the 100 ships to the commanders coming from all military services. The civilian and military scientists have finished their job, more or less about this time. We finalized the division of the quadrants, the planets to use as base planets, the organization and the starting personnel to man the ships and their quadrant assignments. We also decided on the Looney military base located at the edge of the Looney homeworlds. Matt and I were involved in all of these, and I learned a lot in that month, more than I have in my years of playing video games. Matt did too, but he pretended to know more. Which is stupid. He always does this, throwing out something that I will argue with him about. Sometimes I want to punch myself for falling into this trap. Billy decided on a date to assign the ships. Roger wanted the assignment to be dramatic and fun, and Billy agreed. Billy wanted the drama to start with a lecture on organization and plans. He wanted Matt to do this. Roger will do the assigning. Billy wanted to host this event at the White House. It would be a formal event for the military. I told him it's historic and should be dramatic like what Roger said. Stella suggested creating a commander ceremony and an Armada pledge for drama. Amy and I wore our uniform based on Chris's new design. She realized the new Armada must have a new uniform and that our uniforms must not be too far from the basic design. Roger and Stella also wore the new designs. Except Matt, who always wants to be different. He just wore jeans and a hoodie. Olive and Joe created a practical and portable solid energy uniform that the person can turn on with a push of a button. The uniform switch has 3 buttons to enable the wearer to switch from an internal armor uniform to a regular working Armada uniform based on rank and function, to a formal Armada uniform again based on rank and function. The Armada commanders all sat in formal chairs. The room is a sea of white except for the people up front where Matt stood out like a hobo. Billy started the ceremony with a short but emotional address. Then he gestured at Matt. Good morning, commanders. I'm Matt and you probably don't know me. That's fine. I am here to tell you about our plans to create a space armada. One of the senior generals stood quickly and asked about Matt. Roger shouted, Alex, sit down. All of you listen. The senior general sat. All became quiet. Thanks, Roger. In front of you is a hologram of a spaceship. It's an Amy class of warship, named after my sister. Again, Olive provided the specs and capabilities in a list as Matt talked. I gave these 100 ships to the United States so we can form the best space armada the galaxies have ever seen or not seen. After the initial ship holo to catch their attention, Matt went on to discuss the Space Armada organization. At the top, this box, is the Armada board in which I will be the board chairman, the members of which are Roger and Billy, and the rest would be leaders of other countries. The board will decide everything from deployments, missions to processes. Under the board would be the quadrant commanders, the colony commanders and training center commander. Under these commanders are the ship commanders who will captain these ships. He went on to describe the personnel complement and the training program. He explained the quick component and a long-term component of the training programs. Then he talked about the developments from the science teams on new weapons and other capabilities. Matt's talk was very long, and I was falling asleep. Amy and Chris were too. Now it was Stella's turn. You guys may not know it, but you will have to have a paradigm shift on how you see the military. We are not about protecting the US only. We are protecting Earth and humanity. When you go out there, you will find out that humans are just a small sand in an ocean of intergalactic civilizations. The US has always prided itself to be the leader in military capabilities. And we are, now and in space. She was setting the stage for the Armada and Commander Pledge. She was rallying the troops before they promised to be Armada commanders. But Roger has to provide the final offer first. Roger stood beside Stella as if on cue. Olive was quick and she provided a holo of 100 ship names. Commanders, these are ship names from the survey we asked you to do a week ago. Some of you would recognize the names. Let's start with this one, Defiant. Roger starts by touching the holo while reading it out loud. It revealed a name underneath it in bold red. James Riley. Roger read the name out loud. Then he picked up the two names as if they were solid and threw them in the air, and it moved towards James Riley as if trying to find him. As it flew into the air, it landed on James' lap as a solid tablet. James, on that tablet is the face of your AI. The AI appears to the left of the chairs in white Armada uniform with Defiant on her upper left. The AI waved at James. The people were clapping, and some were shouting. Then Roger went to another name, Bismarck, and the name Annie Weber appeared. He threw it up in the air and it landed at the back of the seated commanders on Annie's lap. A very handsome AI appeared with the ship name on his chest. Again, a lot of clapping. This went on for more than an hour until there were 100 AIs on the left, right and rear of the seated commanders. Wasn't that exciting? Stella shouted. You and your AI is all we need to fly the ships. Fire the weapons and defend our planet. What you don't know is that your whole body was scanned by your ship in orbit and now your AI recognizes you as the commander. You may not have noticed it, but your AI is wearing the Armada uniform similar to what we are wearing. Stella gestured to Chris. Chris, looking so young in Armada uniform, strode into the middle of the raised floor. She was holding a small pocket pager or small phone-like device. What I hold in my hand is the design I made of your uniform. Matt, come here. Matt went over to Chris and just stood there. She gave him the device and Olive provided a large holo of the device. Matt, please press the device on your chest. The device has 3 buttons. Matt, please press the red button. Matt's clothes changed into the black with blue accented uniform with the American flag and Matt's name. Now press the green button. Matt's uniform changed into a gray body armor. Then he changed into a formal white Armada uniform. I did not tell you to press the white button yet. Chris complained loudly and the crowd laughed. Which was the desired effect. All of your uniforms are solid energy uniforms. It is self-cleaning, environment-controlled, waterproof and stain-proof. It can withstand a plasma shot that can rip through a tank. Lasers cannot cut it. A direct hit from a tank cannon will not puncture it. Also, it has a hoodie that will protect your head and shoe socks to protect your feet. You can find yourself in the middle of a nuclear explosion and if you have your hood and shoes on, you will walk out of it. The device appeared attached to the tablets. Then a plasma gun appeared strapped to her hip. Chris pulled it out, raised it, and said, "This is a plasma gun I helped design. It's double-barreled, made from black diamond, very light. It can shoot 2 plasma shots at a time. It can be single shot or auto burst. The plasma contains liquefied iron and when it hits the solid target it explodes. It has a standard 500 round mag." Olive provided holos as Chris was explaining. She put it back on her hips and it disappeared. The holos disappeared. The crowd went silent. You do not seem to like the uniform and plasma gun, Stella said to the quiet commanders. They shouted a denial. Okay, what I want to emphasize to you is that your mission is to protect Earth, humanity, and our way of life. Your mission is to be the strongest armada in the galaxies. That is the only way we can ensure our survival in the galaxies. Olive was on cue. The Armada pledge appeared on all 4 corners of the room. This is your mission, your promise, your ethos, the Armada pledge, and I want all of you to read it out loud. Commanders, attention. Roger shouted the command. All the commanders stood. Commence reading, Roger said. Roger leads the reading. Everybody read the holo. Chris, Amy, Matt, and I read it too. Then quiet. Stella, Chris, and Amy had tears in their eyes. Some of the men and women commanders had tears in their eyes. The promise was a lot to take in and Stella really did her work really well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Roger said and gave a crisp salute. The commanders all gave a crisp salute. I hugged and kissed my wife. Then I went around hugging and congratulating those on the raised floor. That went really well. Matt told Billy, who was smiling broadly. Roger, you were dramatic and funny, I said. Stella congratulated and hugged Chris, seeing how her emotions swept over her. I am an artist in a military armada? She cried. Yes, you are. We all try to be artists in the Armada, Billy said. We have to be artists in the art of war, I thought. The deployment was quick. In 2 days, 20 of the ships, each with only 500 personnel, went to a planet on the first quadrant to establish a base. The other 20 with the same number of personnel went to the planet at the fringes of the Looney world to establish a training base there. The remaining ships were waiting for the personnel that Roger ordered from the various military branches. As soon as they had 500 personnel, they left complete with provisions and equipment. Meanwhile, Stella and Amy became busy with the con. They met with Beetle and explained what we were doing and how they can help defend their worlds. They brought the 10 ships as sweeteners to the offer. Amy saw in the future that they can get $250 trillion equivalent in 5 equal tranches every 5 months. They moved to make the vision come through. The tranches will be deposited in a Looney bank, and we can withdraw the amount in dollars at a rate the bank set them at, which was 5% of the DOMA value. Amy saw the banks playing us with a rate they thought was outrageous, but that we were expecting anyway. In order to get dollars, they talked to the banks in the Olympus where the currency was US dollars and bought from them. Ron earlier has already deposited $5 trillion when we created the banks that we needed to fund the projects in Olympus. So, in effect, they bought our money and gave this back to us. Now we were forced to create trade to spend the DOMES in the Olympus banks. Amy saw this coming, and she offered Beetle our drone technology. She wanted to create several companies in the Looney manufacturing planet of Monet to manufacture drones based on the design by our human scientists but using LEO technology. Beetle was happy that his people would be able to work on essentially a new technology to them and sell these drones to the humans who will pay them in DOMA. Money which essentially given to us as protection money, or according to Stella, Looney training assistance grants. One of the endearing traits of these football heads is that they work really hard and smart. They may be joking around all the time, but they are very productive. They know manufacturing like the back of their hands. In the first month, the factory turned out 1,000 drones, 10,000 drones on the second month, and 30,000 drones a month from then on. Amy explained to Beetle that the drones they were selling to us would be used to defend them, which was true, and this endeared us to the Loonies. Amy also saw that the drone trade will not be enough to spend all the budgeted Looney-free money. Stella decided that the Loonies start off with manufacturing small attack ships. Again, the Loonies were good at this. They set up 10 factories, turning out a total of 3,000 attack ships a month. At this volume, the $5 trillion in DOMA funds budgeted were all used up. Again, Beetle was so happy that his people are making military attack spaceships that were far more advanced than what they have. I think my wife was a born con artist. Stella explained that this is what the capitalist system creates, a runaround con artist type of economy. What fascinated Beetle and the Looney leaders was our teleporting capabilities. We did not tell them that we got it from the Leos whom they knew. Amy saw us selling them some kind of teleportation machine in the future, so she asked Matt to go to Trio and get something. I accompanied Matt to talk to Trio, and we explained that the Loonies wanted this technology and we did not tell them any of the Leo technologies. Trio was happy that we kept their secret and decided to give us a very old teleporting technology from 120,000 years ago that we can connect to our ships. They were not making them anymore because their manufacturing processes cannot make these anymore. Earth technology can't make these, but the Looney technology can. We also wanted to set up a military base in a planet nearby so we can protect them. They were not too keen on this, and we just dropped the idea. You can't fool all the people all the time. The Looney scientists were very excited with the teleportation technology that we introduced. They could not imagine that a civilization that does not have fusion technology could come out with the teleportation tech, which assumed the use of fusion because the power requirements is so large. We finally told them that the tech came from the riots, but first went into a run around to deny that we got it from some other aliens. Trio said that's exactly how you deal with the Loonies. Create a practical joke so they can understand. It took me a while to understand what Trio said. The Looney scientists, assisted by human scientists, redesigned the old tech for small, medium, heavy, and extraordinarily heavy transport. As I said, the Loonies were very smart and efficient, and this categorization of designs is just how they do things. Later they created targeted teleportation systems where they can target teleport an item as small as a plasma pistol to as large and heavy as a building or even a ship. I foresee that this tech alone will make our Olympus non-profit one of the richest in the galaxies. You know, this technology will make our Olympus non-profit one of the richest in the galaxies, Matt whispered to me. I just told you that, I shouted in his head. No, you didn't. I thought about it myself, Matt argued. No, you think you did, but you actually read my mind and saw me thinking about it, I said, and this made him think. Meanwhile, Ron and I were in my ship, and we summoned the president of the Philippines and his trade minister Soledad. Ron and I both speak Filipino, and we explained, in Filipino, to them the projects we have and needed personnel. We explained that we will just teleport them directly to the ship and assign them to the projects. We discussed the salaries and payment processes. Soledad promised that we will get at least 1 million workers a month every month until we puke. Ron wrote a large check for her to cash to fund her work, needed logistics, and advanced the workers' salaries for 3 months. We were able to bring in 500,000 each to the first quadrant base and the Looney base in the first month. The volume picked up on the second month but went down slowly after. We cannot explain how we can't recruit people to work. We also summoned the trade ministers or officials of the top 24 of our allies. We asked that they send 2 per country. At my ship, we explained to them our problem. We have too much money that we can use for trade. We gave them the earlier study that Ron's people made of the Looney economy and what we can offer to them. How much money do you have? The trade minister of Australia asked. We need to spend $4 trillion a month, Ron answered. Based on the study, France can supply $20 billion worth of wine every month. But that's it, the French said. I expect them to overprice their wines by at least 30%. We can supply $30 billion worth of animal meats, cows, sheep, and pigs a month max, the Aussie said. Another price gouger. But that's okay, we want all of them to make money, and it's free money anyway. We would like to provide grants for you to study how you can trade with the loonies, Ron said. They accepted the study grants but were not too excited to do anything. It was apparent that we still had a lot of money to spend. How about people? Can you send people to our colonies? We assure you that their pay would be double, Ron said, and no one responded. Most of our allies are facing negative population growth except for India and our Asian friends. The trade minister of Germany explained, we expect our economies to heat up because of the fusion technology. In fact, we expect the whole world will experience a rate of growth that we have never seen in all our history. It is really hard to get people. Talking to these bureaucrats, I think I am beginning to hate my job. I quickly excused myself from the meeting and left Ron to deal with trade ministers.